Welcome to the Men of Porno podcast. My name is Corey, your host, and today we're going to be talking about sexual pleasure versus intimacy. And this is one of the things I was talking to with my friend recently, and we're talking about actual sexual pleasure and how you can enhance that. And one of the things that kept coming up was it's linked into intimacy. I think everybody equates sexual pleasure to having an orgasm, and that's part of it. But because of social conditioning and society, we are all driven to getting this result. And really, when it comes to it, down to it, really intimacy becomes the most important thing. And in my personal life, I discovered this quite when I was a lot younger. I was dating this lady, and we were house sitting. So in my mind, I thought, oh my goodness, this is going to be amazing. We're going to be house sitting. I'm going to have, we're going to just be at home watching films, and we're going to be having incredible sex the whole time. And I remember the first night that we were together, we laid there, and all of a sudden, we started doing, getting aroused and kissing. And I remember saying to her, because why are you rushing? I just said, oh well, I just want to just come right now. And that was the most unromantic thing to say. It was a complete turn off for her, and it was me just trying to rush to get to the orgasm. And really, and for me at that point, I just wanted to get the orgasm, and it was more about the sexual pleasure. And I thought that was a sexual pleasure, and I thought that was exactly what she wanted as well, because I thought I can get it to come to get an orgasm. I can get an orgasm, and then we're both in a good place. And that was just me with the lack of knowledge. And at that point, I thought that's sexual pleasure. And fast forwarding to many years later, I always found myself in a situation where I would have the orgasm. It would I'd feel the pleasure of the orgasm, but soon after I would feel like I need to go into another process of trying to arouse and seduce, and then going into the same experience. There's never a time when I felt fulfilled. And this is where many people find themselves. Like, there's just no fulfillment when it comes to that side of things. And it's now something that I've been thinking about a lot. And this has been triggered because I'm now married. And after many years of being married, I continued with the same thing, where I thought having an orgasm was sexual pleasure, and that's what will get fulfillment. But to be honest with you, is that I would get the orgasm, but there was never that fulfillment. And the fulfillment is something that I thought was possible, but I just decided that maybe it wasn't for us. Maybe it was a problem with our relationship. And this actually is linked with a lot of affairs and stuff like that. So I found myself watching a lot of porn in order to supplement, because I thought, okay, if she's not interested in having a lot of sex in order to get that fulfillment, then maybe I can help myself to get to that point. And weirdly, that didn't help either, because I would watch porn or get stimulation and try and masturbate or whatever and I would not get to that point of fulfillment. So I end up in the position where I met some people online. I started talking to them, and while that was very wrong in terms of my relationship, speaking to other women, I ended up in a situation where my wife found out, and he was crushing for her and for our marriage. That was very bad for our marriage. But the thing is, when I started trying to dissect and wonder how I can hurt somebody I love so much, I started realizing that part of it is the fact that even though we had not such a great sex life in terms of because of her pain with the body and stuff, it wasn't that it was the sex, and the actual me talking to other people wasn't because I desired sex with them. Truly, I was just desiring a connection, and that connection was intimacy. And really, when it comes down to it, is that I realized that I had failings when it comes to being intimate with my wife, which therefore, whenever we did have sex, there was never that fulfillment. And I've taken me through this journey where I now understand that the intimacy increases the pleasure of the actual sex. But there's also one thing that you end up introducing, which is the fulfillment. And this is where a lot of couples, not just married ones, but most couples in the world, that they find themselves that they're in this situation. So with many guys that I've spoken to, they say we hardly have sex, or we have sex once a week, or whatever, when they're in a relationship, because the sex has become a chore. Is this thing that you do to an end, and because it's a chore and there's no intimacy that comes out from it, for women it becomes a chore, and they're less likely to engage in it. So the guy would sort of be absent for 3 or 4 days, and then when he does cuddle her or anything, he's expecting to have sex with her. So every time she gets a cuddle, it's now suspicious. She's suspicious that, oh, he's cuddling me because now he just wants to rub his dick on me. And I'm saying this because it's from personal experience. Every time that I cuddled her, I would get a hard on, and then I would want to escalate it into sex. Whereas with a woman, just that cuddle, there should be other motives in terms of just making her feel safe, getting her to get into a state of just feeling appreciated, and slowing things down in terms of the high pace of living life, and things that are going through her mind and everything else. Just getting to the point where you just hold her and just say, you know what, I care about you, and I'm thinking about you. That is enough to start getting that ball rolling in terms of being intimate. So I thought I'd just share a bit of this, but it's something that I'm going to just continue diving deeper in, because I'm not an expert with this, and it's something that I'm finding out every day. I'm speaking to people that are professionals at this, and I'm actually going to be seeking out help in terms of getting better at opening up and being intimate with my own wife, but not just my wife, but with the relationships that I have. I think with my relationships, they're always shallow and superficial, and I can admit that because I've never learned how to let go of my ego, or be able to take off the masks that stop me from actually connecting with people in a true way. I think I've done that now since I started learning this, but I know that in terms of my own relationship, there's certainly a lot of masks that are on me. When I say masks, I'm talking about masks of masculinity, where there's different things that have been prescribed to me of what a man should be, and those are the things that are stopping me from connecting with my wife. So the fact that when my view of sex was always a take situation, where I need to give her one, I need to fuck her, there isn't a mutual beneficial thing. It's not a win-win situation. There isn't I need to seduce her. There isn't a mutual seduction scenario. So those are the things that I've been considering and thinking about, and how that can translate for you as a listener. So if you're married, or you got a girlfriend, and you find yourself in a situation where you're not connecting very well, you might even have, and that's the weird thing about it, that you might even have sex every day and still not have that fulfillment. So one last story. Once before I got married, there's one lady I met in a bar, and she was incredibly sexy. She was a little bit older than I was, and I remember we hit it off pretty quickly. She was what most men would call an ideal woman, because we were talking, we started flirting, and I started trying to seduce her, and things were just going perfectly. And she was seducing me just as well. And we literally left the bar and we got it on. And I thought this was absolutely amazing. We exchanged numbers and we just started continuing talking on text. And it was just flirtatious stuff that was going on over the text. And I remember saying to her, "Oh, you can come to my house and, we can meet up and you can sleep over and everything like that." And as she said, "Oh, I'm outside," as in she's arrived, she came out of the car and there was a gentleman driving the car. So I just thought maybe the gentleman was a work colleague or a friend or whatever. So as she walked in, I was like, "Oh, by the way, so who's the guy that dropped you off?" Just out of curiosity. And she said, "That's my husband." And I was so shocked. And I was incredibly shocked, and I was like a little bit nervous about it. And they said, "No, my husband is fine with this." And that was my first experience with somebody who's polyamorous. And so polyamorous means having a connection outside of your normal relationship. So we, as soon as she walked in, she looked amazing, got aroused, and then we had sex at that time. And then we got some dinner in, and after dinner, I thought I would just go and have a shower. While I was having the shower, we had sex again. Before bed, that happened. And then by the time the morning came, I kind of realized that, okay, she's a nymphomaniac. So over the next few weeks, this thing kept repeating itself, and that was the most sex I had had with one person for a long time. And even though we were now doing it every single day, I still found myself satisfied. So I got to a point where I couldn't physically do it, but mentally I was not satisfied. And that bugged me for many years. And up until now, I now kind of understand that without that intimacy, I was never going to be fulfilled. So it doesn't matter if you're having sex every single day with your partner, or it's once a week or once a month. If there isn't that intimacy, you're never going to find that fulfillment. And therefore, you find that you introduce behaviors that are going to try and get you fulfilled. So in my case, I started eating quite a lot. So, post before bedtime or whatever, just because I'm feeling like unfulfilled, I would go and start eating, and a lot of it will be sweet stuff. So over the years, I've put on a lot of weight, and that's part of the things that I'm beginning to realize, that it's the fact that because I'm unfulfilled, I'm now trying to find ways of fulfilling myself, whether it's through porn or through food, or there's certain behaviors that you now start trying to weave within your own life that are destructive in a sense, if you look at it in another sense. But in another sense, it's just a mental way of trying to feel fulfilled. So I'm just going to end this podcast on this point, but it's something that I'm going to be definitely digging deeper and talking more about this. And if you like this sort of content, go ahead and join the Facebook group, Men of Honor on the Facebook group. It's a support group for men where we talk about things like this, and we give you help so you can have, live your life by design, so you can have complete freedom. And what that means is just you decide how you're going to live your life, so you live it in a way that makes you happy, but know that you can also achieve complete freedom, which means that you can live exactly how you've always wished to live. So if you're interested in this, please go to Men of Honor on the Facebook group and join. If you're a lady and you're listening to this, if you know anybody that is interested in this sort of content, please get them to join our Men of Honor. Unfortunately, we're not taking any ladies, But if you know that this can be beneficial to somebody that you know and you love, please tell them to join our group, and we're eternally grateful for that. So look out for the next episode. Thank you very much for listening. My name is Kuri, and I'll be seeing you soon.